In the dusty heart of Montana, where the sun dipped low over endless prairies like a weary traveler seeking rest, Jake Harlan stood by the weathered fence of his ranch, his calloused hands gripping the rail as if it were the only thing keeping him grounded. The stagecoach rumbled into view, kicking up a cloud of red earth that stung his eyes, but it wasn't the dust that made his heart pound, it was the promise of a new beginning, or perhaps the fear of another ending. At 42, Jake was a cowboy through and through, broad-shouldered, sun-leathered, with a quiet strength forged from years of herding cattle under unforgiving skies. He'd lost his wife, Sarah, to a fever 5 years back, and with her, the light in his world had dimmed. Loneliness had become his constant companion, until his old friends in town, pitying his solitude, arranged for a mail-order bride from back east. "They sent you a shy one," the telegram had read, "but she'll bring warmth to your hearth." As the coach door creaked open, a young woman stepped out, her bonnet shading eyes that darted like frightened sparrows. Emily Thorne, 28, clutched a small valise with wide-knuckled fingers, her simple calico dress whispering against the wind. She was pretty in a delicate way, with auburn hair pinned back and a demeanor so reserved it bordered on invisible. Hackey tipped his hat, his voice gruff but kind. "Welcome, Miss Thorne. I'm Jack. Reckon we're to be wed today, if you're agreeable." The ceremony was simple, held in the town's one-room chapel with a handful of witnesses, Jake's ranch hands and the preacher who smelled faintly of pipe tobacco. Emily spoke her vows in a whisper, her gaze fixed on the floorboards as if they held secrets she dared not share. Jake felt a pang of uncertainty, he'd hoped for companionship, not this fragile silence. But he was a man of his word, and as they rode back to the ranch in his buckboard wagon, the setting sun painting the hills in gold, he tried to bridge the gap. "Ranch life's hard, but it's honest," he said, glancing at her profile. "You'll have your own space till we know each other better." Emily nodded, her lips curving in a faint, fleeting smile that didn't reach her eyes. She seemed lost in her own world, a world Jake couldn't yet fathom. That night, as stars blanketed the sky like scattered diamonds, they retired to the modest cabin. Jake had prepared the main room for himself on a cot, leaving the bedroom to her. But as he stoked the fire, Emily lingered by the door, twisting her hands. "Mr. Harlan, Jake," she murmured, her voice trembling like a leaf in the breeze. "There's something I must tell you. Before anything." Jake paused, poker in hand, the flames casting flickering shadows across his face. Edie sensed her shyness all day, but this was different, raw vulnerability that made the air thick. "Go on, Emily. I ain't no judgment here." She sank onto the edge of the bed, her valise at her feet, and with shaking fingers, she unbuttoned the high collar of her dress just enough to reveal a jagged scar running from her collarbone down her shoulder, hidden beneath layers of fabric. It was old, pocket, the mark of something brutal. Jake's breath caught, but it wasn't the scar that made his hands begin to tremble, it was what came next. "I wasn't sent here by chance," she whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. "The agency, they knew my story, but I begged them not to tell you. I come from Boston, from a life that broke me. My family ran an orphanage, you see. Poor kids, abandoned, sick. One night, 2 years ago, a fire started in the kitchen. The flames spread so fast. I got the children out, 20 of them, dragging the little ones through smoke so thick it choked the life from you." Her voice cracked, but she pressed on, the words tumbling out like a dam finally bursting. "I went back for the last one, a boy named Tommy, no more than 4. The beam fell on me, burning, crashing. I pulled him free, but the doctors said I'd never be whole again. The scar's not just skin deep, it took my confidence, my dreams. The orphanage closed, my family scattered. I had nothing left. So I answered the ad, not for love at first, but because I heard whispers about you, Jake, from the agency letters. A cowboy who's kind to strays, who helps neighbors without asking for thanks. I thought, maybe I could find purpose here, give what little I have left." Jackie's hands shook now, not from fear or revulsion, but from a wave of emotion that crashed over him like a prairie storm. Edie expected a simple bride, perhaps one seeking escape from city drudgery, but this? This woman, shy and unassuming, had faced hell and emerged a hero. His mind raced back to his own losses. Sarah's gentle laugh, the tiny grave on the hill where their unborn child rested with her. He'd buried his grief in work, building walls around his heart, convinced kindness was a weakness in a world that took without mercy. Yet here was Emily, scarred in body and soul, choosing selflessness over surrender. He set the poker down, his voice hoarse. Emily. You ain't deserving of that. You lost my wife, my everything. Turned inward, like a wounded animal. But you saved lives. That's more than most folks ever do. She looked up, surprise etching her features. I didn't tell you for pity. I told you because, on our first night, I couldn't start with a lie. If you want to send me back, I understand. The words hung between them, heavy with possibility. Jake knelt before her, his trembling hands gently taking hers, soft against his rough palms. In that moment, a profound realization dawned. Life wasn't about unbroken perfection, but about the mending, the giving despite the breaks. As the night deepened, they talked until the fire burned low. Jake shared his stories, the cattle drives, the quiet acts of help he'd given, like fixing a widow's roof or sharing his harvest with starving families during the drought. Emily's eyes lit with a spark he hadn't seen before, and she confessed her dream, to reopen something like the orphanage, a safe haven for the lost children of the frontier. But I'm just one person, she said softly. Scarred and shy. Jake's shaking subsided, replaced by a steady resolve. No, Emily. You're more than that. And you ain't alone. The emotional climax came just before dawn, as the first light crept through the window. Jake rose, fetching a tin box from beneath the bed, his savings, scraped together over years of toil. This was for hard times, he said, opening it to reveal a modest stack of bills and coins. But hard times ain't just about money. They're about hearts going cold. Take it. We build that haven together. Not as strangers, but as partners. Your kindness, it reminds me there's power in us all, if we choose it. Tears streamed down Emily's face, not of sorrow, but of hope reborn. She leaned forward, her hand steady now, touching his cheek. In that act of generosity, his offering, her accepting, they transformed. The cowboy who'd hidden his pain found healing in giving, and the shy bride discovered her voice in shared purpose. By morning, as the sun rose over the ranch, painting the world anew, Jake and Emily stepped outside hand in hand. The air was crisp, filled with the lowing of cattle and the promise of work ahead. They weren't just husband and wife, they were beacons of humanity's quiet strength. In the days that followed, word spread through the town of the cowboy and his bride building a home for orphans, collecting donations, hammering nails side by side. Jake's hands no longer shook, they built. Emily's shyness faded, replaced by a gentle confidence that inspired all who met her. And in the vast expanse of the American West, where survival often meant standing alone, their story whispered a timeless truth: true power lies not in rugged independence, but in the selfless act of lifting another. Kindness, like a prairie wildfire, spreads far and warms the soul. In a world that can feel vast and unforgiving, remember, one compassionate choice can light the dawn for us all, leaving us forever changed, hopeful, and whole.